Playoff Jimmy is finally here. But what's different? Why can he score 38 points against the Memphis Grizzlies, probably easily average 30 versus the Houston Rockets, but score less than 10, 15, 20 points throughout many regular season games for the Warriors? Well, in this film review, we're going to lock into exactly what is different about Jimmy Butler when you look at it in this postseason. Let's roll the tape. This first clip right here really showcases, I think, how teams guard Jimmy Butler. This is during a big run in the second quarter where the Warriors made a huge advantage while Jimmy Butler was on the court without Steph Curry. What you see right here is Aldama is going to be guarding Jimmy Butler, but he gives him space. He allows him to shoot threes. Jimmy Butler doesn't shoot many threes in the regular season, but somehow in the postseason he seems to want it more. But in this specific play, they're going to give him that. But Jimmy Butler is still a pass-first guy, so he passes to Gary Payton II. Jaren Jackson Jr. comes all the way out from the paint, though, to go to him. And now Payton's going to pass it up to Jimmy Butler. And Aldama's kind of trying to sit low and make sure to hedge him towards this side of the court, try to make him use his left hand rather than his right, more dominant hand. And we see right here that Luke Kennard is kind of in a position here where he can guard post, but also potentially help if Jimmy Butler were to drive the ball. But what you see right here is Jimmy, no hesitation, is going to knock down that three. And I think that's the first important point to realize. He's just more aggressive. He's more willing to take those three-point shots and really capitalize on space given to him on the offensive side of the ball. This next clip right here, we're kind of in semi-transition where Steph and Draymond are still barely crossing half court. There's 19 seconds left on the shot clock. And Jimmy Butler realizes that he has a huge mismatch here with Zach Edey. And that's something the Warriors didn't have before, but something that Jimmy Butler definitely does in the playoffs. He matchup attacks. He notices, hey, this guy can't guard me. I should be guarded by somebody like Desmond Bane or maybe even Scottie Pippen Jr., but definitely not Zach Edey. And knowing that Jaren Jackson Jr. is also all the way out here, he notices that the shot blocker is not in good position to get to him. So he dribbles all the way around Zach Edey and is able to go up and get fouled right here, where Zach Edey puts his hand over here trying to block him. And I think something you really have to notice here is how Jimmy Butler kind of fakes with his body without even faking with the ball sometimes, causes the person to put their arm up, and then Jimmy Butler's always going to go right into it, which is super important. Here, I think, is a more important clip that will be indicative of the rest of the playoffs where Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler are all on the court together. And notice how much attention Steph draws. We have basically Jimmy Butler's defender right here looking all the way over, Luke Kennard looking here, John Morant looking here. All eyes are on Steph Curry. And that's important because Jimmy Butler is able to capitalize off that. Right here, Steph Curry kind of gets a little bit of a look here, but he's essentially getting doubled by both of these players, by Scottie Pippen Jr. and Jaren Jackson Jr. So it leads to a depth pass right here, bounce pass right here to Draymond Green. And now you see there's no way for Santi Aldama to really get back in position right here. He's looking at Jimmy Butler trying to close, but Draymond Green notices that. He notices his eyes are away from the ball. So he's just going to make the easy pass kind of over there once he dribbles in. And I don't know what Aldama was doing right here. He was kind of just jumping, twirling around. And this gives Jimmy Butler a great lane to go into. And an acrobatic layup happens in traffic, and something that traditionally he could probably even get an and one for. In this next clip right here, once again, we have a Steph to Draymond Green pass to set up Jimmy Butler. Seems like what they're going with is essentially a post-split action with Jimmy Butler as the primary guy. And you see that diverts a little bit more attention than it just being Draymond Green. Desmond Bane has to pay attention. Zach Edey has to pay attention because this is Jimmy Butler. This is a guy who could turn around and shoot this shot with a lot of ease. He could drive and get a foul pretty easily. And this also makes it so that Edey has to be in this action and basically pay attention to Jimmy Butler while also making sure to contain Steph Curry and Draymond Green, which forces him to be in a really tough position for a rookie, and he's in no position to do that. And so Steph Curry just shoots this shot and makes it in a pretty wide open way, to be quite frank with you. And that's the types of shots we can potentially get as the Golden State Warriors if we have Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler on the court. Now, I want to really highlight something that I saw a lot of this game specifically, which is Jimmy Butler being really good on both the defensive and the offensive end. And right here, you're going to see Jimmy Butler knows when to go to steals. He notices when Jaren Jackson Jr. is looking more at Kevon Looney. So Jimmy Butler is going to take a chance and go for the turnover. And I think this is something the Warriors did really well. They didn't shoot too well from three during the Grizzlies game, but they definitely did do a good job of forcing turnovers. And that's an element of surprise that Jimmy Butler really brings to the Warriors that I love to see versus the Grizzlies. Right here, once again, we have an offensive play with Jimmy Butler kind of setting up Draymond Green in the post-split action. And here instead, we have Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry running the action. And so Zach Edey seems like he's supposed to be on Jimmy Butler, and Scottie Pippen Jr. is supposed to be on Steph Curry. But by Steph setting the screen right here, he kind of confuses Zach Edey into, oh, how am I going to get around? And this is just a complete defensive bust, and this leads to an easy Jimmy Butler and one almost right here, just because of the fact that he was able to get wide open coming around with Zach Edey in no position to knock over Steph Curry and allows him to finish in the paint. Right here, once again, we have a play where Podziemski is able to get wide open because of the screening action, but Podziemski's not as confident to go up for this. I think if he was having a better game, potentially he could, but he passes it all the way out to Jimmy Butler, who's going to look to take a three. Zach Edey tries to close out, and Jimmy Butler's obviously going to go all the way around him. And look at him kind of fake the ball. He puts the ball up, brings it back down, and then is going to go back up with it and get that and one. And that's what Jimmy Butler is great at doing, powering up this team, doing a great job of finishing at the basket and drawing fouls. If you guys like this film review of Jimmy Butler and everything he does for the Warriors, please feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll come back with more clips as the Warriors go into the playoffs. Thank you for watching.